So there's a lot of debate in the pro-Israel community about whether we should be using the term Palestinians to describe the Arabs that live in Gaza and Judea and Samaria, or what's known as the West Bank. And the reason for that is quite simple. There has never been a state, a sovereign place called Palestine. It was a region. It was the name of Palestine was created by the Romans to detach the Jewish association from the land once they destroyed the previous sovereign state, which was Jewish, the only sovereign state that's existed there before Israel was re-established in 48. And the region was just called Palestine as different nations and empires took it over, including Arabs, the Islamic conquest in the 7th century. And when you had Jews and Arabs living there in the 19th century and 20th century, both the Jews and the Arabs referred to themselves as Palestinians. In fact, many Arabs actually refused to. They said, no, I'm just Arab. I'm an Arab. So you'd actually see Jews playing in sports contests where it would say on their shirt, Palestine. And they'd proudly associate with that. And as Max Radford actually recently pointed out in an interview with us, it would have Aleph and Yud on it in brackets on currency and things like that, which referenced Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. Now, the Arabs start to take on this term Palestinian after they lost their war to try and annihilate Israel. And what would have happened in 1948 when they tried to get rid of Israel was they would have just carved up the land between Jordan and Syria and Lebanon. And there would never be a Palestinian state because it was not an authentic, genuine nationalist kind of movement and desire. And by the way, all the great displacement that they talk about that occurred in 48 of Arabs being displaced from their homes, it wouldn't have happened had they said, okay, we'll accept an Israel and we'll accept a state, an Arab state, which is what the United Nations proposed in 1947. The displacement only happened when the surrounding Arab armies said, no, we're not accepting any Jewish state on their ancient homeland. Not accepting that at all. And then, as a result of them trying to fight a war to destroy the Jews, lots of displacement occurred, largely because Arab armies said, leave and come back once we've killed the Jews. Let's not forget, by the way, even more Jews were displaced in the Middle East, and they found refuge in Israel in 1948. Nearly 1 million across the Arab world. No one talks about them. But anyway, this whole notion of the Palestinians really arose with this guy that you can see on the screen, Yasser Arafat. He creates this concept, the PLO, in the 60s, of a flag and identity, and they say, we're the Palestinians, actually. We're a unique national identity and movement, and we just want our Palestinian state. And that's what it's always been about. It was very clever. You got to give it to them. It was very clever. But it's based on so many lies, and it's simply a cynical ploy to get rid of Israel. They don't care if they have a Palestinian state or if it's part of a Syrian empire. Many of them wanted that. In fact, the first Palestinian spiritual leader, Hajj Amin al-Husseini, expressed a will to be part of, he saw Israel as part of southern Syria. So a debate is raging on. Do we keep indulging in this term? Do we keep using the term Palestinian when it's so clearly just a cynical ploy? You could just say Arabs. They are Arabs, indigenous to Arabia. By the way, I would also add that this does not mean that Israel doesn't want to live alongside non-Jews and is happy to have non-Jews and Arabs living in their country. But they've got to be peaceful. They've got to accept the Jewish people's right to be there. It's not a high bar. But Hillel Fuld wrote a piece recently, which I wanted to share with you, where he gave his view that we shouldn't be saying Palestinian anymore. I know there are other people, like I think it was Yishai Fleischer, who was saying, look, I don't want to get too caught up in whether we do or don't use the term, because it shows like we're almost intimidated by them and by the like we don't want to we should be relaxed about it, because we just have to get on with things and do what we need to do, and let's not get too worked up by anything. But Hillel had a more staunch point of view on this word, and I'm going to read to you what he said. He said, "I'm going to try my best, and surely I will fail here and there, to stop calling them Palestinians and start calling them what they are. Jordanians who hijacked the word Palestine, a word that previously just meant Israel. I'll try to call them what they are. Arabs, Jordanians, Egyptians, whatever. Just not Palestinians. Yasser Arafat, the arch-terrorist who established the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, was born in Egypt, for goodness sake. The Palestinian narrative is perhaps the biggest scam in history. And let's be honest, they are darn good at tricking the whole world. Let me make this perfectly clear. There was never an Arab-Palestinian state in the history of the world. Disagree? Cool. When was it established? And what was the national anthem? I'll wait. The Arabs who call themselves Palestinians don't want a state. They want dead Jews. They want all of Israel. Don't believe me? Then go read their charter and answer me this. In 1964, when the PLO was established, what exactly were they looking to liberate? Because there was no occupation then. If they want a state, then why didn't they accept the offer for a state in 1947, the Partition Plan? Or 1967, the Khartoum Summit? Or 1991, the Madrid Conference? Or 2000, the Camp David? Or 2001, the Taba Summit? Or 2005, the Gaza disengagement? Or 2007, the Annapolis Summit? Or 2008, the Realignment Plan? Or 2013, the Joint Peace Talks? Or 2019, the Bahrain Workshop? Or 2020, the Trump Peace Plan? If all the terror committed by the Palestinians, by the people who call themselves Palestinians, is a result of the occupation, the Nakba, or 75 years of oppression, then answer me this one basic question. Why was there Arab terror against Jews before Israel was even established? See 1929 Hebron massacre, to name one example. Words matter, and calling them Palestinians means you're adopting their lie. So I will try my best to stop calling them that, and I'll be more accurate about who they are and what they want. Ari, this one's for you. That's his late brother. On that note, calling it the West Bank is also a fabrication, as is calling Israelis living in their land settlers. Words matter. Use them responsibly. And Elon Gold actually commented on this. He's a comedian. He said, "Why did Israel allow the arch-terrorist Arafat, who caused all of this, to live? Why did they go after every Munich terrorist, but not the POS responsible for the false narrative and terror that afflicts us to this day? And why is Iran's leader still alive? It makes no sense they can assassinate anyone they want, but they don't get the chief scum responsible for everything." So a little bit off topic there with that point, and I do actually agree with him that it's unacceptable that Israel should have to tolerate people and leaders who will their destruction. Israel has every moral right to go after these people, and clearly made a grave mistake trying to make peace with someone like Arafat, who was so clearly a cynical player, whose only real chief desire was to undermine the Jews. So back to this question of the Palestinians and whether we use this term. I'd love to know what you think. It's clearly a cynical ploy. I used to be unsure about whether it was a cynical ploy and whether there was some kind of genuine desire just to have their own state, or they just felt there was some kind of legitimate grievance. It's very clear in the aftermath of October 7th and the widespread support among the Arabs or Palestinians for what happened on October 7th by consistent polling. It's very clear that this is not about genuine legitimate grievance. It's about a hateful ideology, which the Jewish people shouldn't be surprised about, given that we faced a hateful ideology throughout the entirety of Jewish history. So the question is, do we keep using this term? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll try to engage with your thoughts, because it's an important question and something we should think about moving forward. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.